once again, Texas Motor Speedway. It's time for Xfinity Series final practice live on FS1. Fast Friday coverage presented by K&N. Weather has been great all day. Perfect for the weekend. Right now, 79 degrees and the track temp 10 degrees warmer than what it was when we had our first session a couple of hours ago. Happy to have you with us with Michael Waltrip, Larry McReynolds. I'm Adam Alexander. So we got 90 minutes on track. What did we learn there, and what do we need to put on our list for final practice, Michael?
What we've learned is if you just get out of the groove a little bit, things can go bad in a hurry. We saw guys slipping and sliding. Daniel Suarez, one of the best cars here, went for a spin. Luckily, he didn't hit anything. We know that's true. We also know that speeds are up. I think we're going to see a faster time in qualifying than we saw when we were here last year. So that's encouraging for these teams. But you better be careful, Larry. You better make the right adjustments. You need a car on the long run that will take care of those Goodyear tires, because we're going to see a lot of green flag running, I think.
I'm glad you said long runs, because we didn't see a lot of drivers making long runs. In fact, we only had 3 drivers that ran 10 or more consecutive laps. So to answer your question for myself, that's what I would like to see, is more long runs in this practice. And I have to believe, because it's like everybody's right on the edge, somewhere near the end, make a little bit of a mock qualifying run to see what tape on the nose is going to do to these cars.
They repaved this place. It's been reconfigured. Chase Elliott said it's edgy. You said it's jiggy.
Yeah, let's get jiggy. Let's go down to the garage area and see what's happening with all the crews.
It's sketchy, too.
Please, Chris, take it away.
Well, Adam, I think one of the surprising things in that first practice is no junior motorsports cars in the top 10. And I just spoke with Elliott Sadler about that, and he said it's really not a fair comparison, because the majority of drivers in that top 10 had 2.5 hours of cup practice prior to Xfinity practice. So he said, I'm not really looking at the timesheet right now. Right now, it's about getting used to this racetrack. And he said, after running here for 20 years, it's a totally different racetrack. I go through turns 1 and 2, and visually it looks the same, but the banking is different, the pavement is different, the radius of the corner is different. So I have to relearn everything. Jamie?
And Chris, Ty Dillon in the 3 was fastest in that first practice, and I just spent a little bit of time with him. He said, after getting out of my cup car and coming over here, whew, it was like a relief off your shoulders. Just less horsepower, less speed. These cars aren't as edgy or as jiggy as you guys said. So for this practice, Adam, they're starting on the same tires they ended last session with, and they also have 2 sets of scuffed tires that they want to try here as well. But overall, happy with that 3 car.
You know, it doesn't sound near as bad when I say it, Jamie, if you say it too. So thank you for participating.
This car was fast in our morning run, always up in the top 5 during that session.
He ran a total of 31 laps in that first practice session.
Came away with the fastest lap of all. That's got to be a good feeling. Come into Texas with a new repave. We talk about sort of the word of the day is repave, reconfigure, reconsider how you're going to attack this place. And when it goes well in the first session, you know you can just fine tune for this hour run. I think that's a great feeling.
Just past 5 o'clock on the East Coast. So if you're just getting home on this Friday evening, you haven't been with us throughout the day, some headlines for Monster Energy Series practice. First cars on track for 2.5 hours. 4 cars had issues. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch went for spins. Eric Jones, seen here, hit the wall in the 77. And Chase Elliott also spun off turn 2, hit the wall. Those last 2 I mentioned going to backup cars. Daniel Suarez spinning in our Xfinity Series session a couple hours ago. And here's his young teammate, the 19 of Matt Tiff, top 10 in our opening practice.
Hops up to second fastest. Second time by. That time of Eric Jones, 28.77, that could have been a qualifying run. Heard him shut the engine off when he went across the start-finish line, coasted back. That 28.77, Larry, I told you that we might see faster speeds this year than we did last, even with less banking down in turns 1 and 2. That's within 1/10 of a second of what the pole was here a year ago.
Less banking and a lot less downforce on these race cars, because, yeah, Kyle Busch sat on the pole a year ago to 28.65.
And think about this. You say less downforce. That means, whoa, that was edgy right there. That wasn't jiggy, it was edgy. He was close to getting up there. But that means a lot more speed on the straightaways without the downforce. So if you can get through turns 3 and 4 and have that long run down the front with that little spoiler on the back, you're just going to see those RPMs go up and gain speed all the way down.
I'm thinking about this though, Michael. 28.777 for Eric Jones. Track temps over 120. Going to be a lot cooler when we qualify early here tomorrow morning, so I'm anticipating quite a bit more speed, you think?
You're not starting to talk about maybe flirting with the track record here set by Owensboro, Kentucky's Jeff Green back in 2002, are you?
Could we possibly go 27.90, Larry?
We're a ways away from that. Yeah, that track record, to Michael's point, it has been laying in place now for 15 years. And that was before they ran the tapered spacer. You know, they ran the same carburetor, the 390 CFM, but with the tapered spacer taking another 70 or 80 horsepower away. That's going to be a feat right there to get to that.
That means they were really running down the straightaways back then and probably struggling through the corners a bit more than they do now with all the technology, everything that goes into these cars being so aerodynamically sound and sealed to the road. The closer that nose is to the ground, the more downforce the car has. The tighter the front is down to the road. That means the back end's hiked up a little bit, getting that spoiler up in the air. These teams figure it out to the nth degree on how to get the most out of these cars.
Final practice just underway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Eric Jones shows the way at Texas. Busch, first career win coming in 2006 in his first start. Trevor Bayne delivered in November of 2011. Chase Elliott 3 years ago in his sixth start. And in his ninth start, Eric Jones went to victory lane driving for Joe Gibbs Racing, and when he did it in 2015, he had to hold off some really good drivers.
And what a great move that was on the restart. Getting around Keselowski, you could see Dale Jr. right there hounding him as well. An amazing job. We knew that night this kid was going to have something special, and he is never disappointed.
Went on that year to win the Truck Series Championship. Nearly won the Xfinity title. And last season, doing great things as a rookie at NASCAR's top level. And here are the numbers when it comes to the Xfinity Series and Texas Motor Speedway for Eric Jones. His average 2.75 in 4 starts, and he's quick right now in our final practice session.
I found it interesting, Michael. He said, though, the more memorable experience he had here at Texas Motor Speedway when he came here for the truck race in 2014, the same night as his high school graduation in Texas Motor Speedway. Eddie Gossage, in pre-race ceremonies, gave him his diploma. He actually had his cap and gown over his fire suit.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's a great honor. And then we saw last year William Byron graduating from high school and racing at the Charlotte race. So it's been a fun time to see these kids get out of high school and show you that they're ready to go up the big boys.
I think we did it a couple of years ago with Ben Rhodes at Iowa Speedway when he made his Xfinity Series debut. So Eric Jones, top of the speed charts. See the numbers there from first practice in our current session. His teammate Matt Tifft is second. Matt was top 10 earlier today. Austin Dillon third. Kevin Harvick fourth. Ryan Blaney final car inside the top 5. Good effort for Daniel Hemrick. The rookie is sixth. Logano is there. Brandon Jones, Tyler Reddick, Spencer Gallagher. 4 rookies in the top 10, and that's a major statement when you consider the changes that this venue has gone through.
Another amazing fact is that William Byron is back in the 19th position. What a start to the 2017 season it's been, but struggle for all the junior motorsports cars today. I don't think it's too early to call for help, but the fastest car in that first session was 13th, I think, maybe, and right now they're outside the top 10 as well.
A lot of debris on the grill of that 9 car, but yeah, as we were showing Chase Elliott getting his first career win here, I couldn't help but think, and of course tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern time on our Fox Race Day show for the Xfinity Series, we're going to talk about this. Chase Elliott came here in the 9 car in his 6th career start back in 2014 and sealed the deal. That's when he went to victory lane.
What's going on with that 18 after that ride they took earlier today, Chris?
Well, Adam, you're talking about that spin he had late in that first practice. Had a little bit of damage to the right rear corners. He was trying to bring the car in. All in all, the team says the car is in good shape after that, and they just wanted Daniel to go out, do a 5 or 6 lap run here to start this session, really try and figure out what this car is up to. And his crew chief, Eric Phillips, this weekend, his car chief from the Cup program, stepping over and guiding this program now. And Eric Phillips telling him, hey, go out, do 5 laps, tell me what the car is doing, let's start working on a long run setup, and then later in this practice we're going to try and go out and do about a 15 lap run. So while we saw a lot of tire scuffing in the first practice, now teams talking about longer runs.
You know, you talked about the spin earlier, and he was up near the top, he was in the top 5 when that took place. see the car just gets loose coming off turn 2. Does a great job of not winding up into either the inside or outside wall. You see Spencer Gallagher scampering away there. He thought he was going to be joined by Suarez, but a little bit of damage getting back to the pits. Larry, you asked me during the break, how much will that slow him down when he goes out for this session? I thought a lap or two, you know, getting used to the car, making sure everything's back the way he wanted it, he would be up in the top 5 again, but currently he's down in the 16th position, so a little bit of work for the team to do now. We talked to Daniel after that spin. He said, I think we've got the best car here in the long run, and it doesn't look that way in this session so far.
33 of Brandon Jones moved up to second.
Nice.
You know, they spent a lot of time outside the top 20 in that first practice, maybe just getting used to this reconfiguration, but they found some speed now. 4 of the 5 RCR cars inside the top 10.
No, I think it was more, Adam, they were just, it was reported that they were just scuffing their tires, putting some laps on their tires. And when you do that, you really don't want to run a bonsai lap. You just want to get equal heat in all 4 tires.
Custer had a great first practice today. A lot of speed. He's currently 6th fastest in this session in the 000 car. I like that line he's running. He's able just to cover that white line in the center of the corner, holding it down to the bottom.
Look at those rookies inside the top 10 doing a real nice job. Cole Custer, one of those, continues to be Eric Jones at the top. 43 minutes to go in final practice. By Texas Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Last weekend off for Xfinity cars. I think the guys from Junior Motorsports would have liked to continue to roll because they were so good when we went west. Las Vegas, Phoenix, California, 12 starts among their 4 cars. 9 top 10 finishes. Justin Allgaier got that big win at Phoenix, the $100,000 dash for cash payout. Elliott Sadler was strong. 4 consecutive top 10s for him. He's the points leader. In fact, they're 1, 2, 3 in points, but not near the speed today we would have anticipated.
But Elliott Sadler in that one car we just saw on the racetrack, one reason he's the points leader, yeah, he's maybe not found victory lane. 53 total stage points earned in 8 different stages for Elliott Sadler.
And that's like 25 more than anyone else. So
almost really, double, yeah.
He's really taking care of the business when it comes to collecting stage points. And
stage 1 and 2, he's really been good. And in fact, he won the 2 opening stages down at Daytona. Could very well have won the race, got involved in an accident late, got a couple of playoff points for his efforts down in the season opener in Central Florida.
Kevin's working it, isn't he? We see a lot of input in the wheel, just making sure, that's just reassuring yourself that there's enough grip there. Really rolling out of the throttle, you hear there?
Shot. David. Sir.
Talking about those points from stage 1 in stage 2. Michael, you said it. Elliott Sadler with 53. Next in line is Justin Allgaier, but not surprising that the 3 guys you see on top here are 1, 2, 3 overall in points, because where you can really score, and we've seen this in the Monster Energy Series as well, if you can be in the top 10 at the end of stage 1 and stage 2, you can really pile up the points.
You know, we were talking about this on our Fox conference call earlier in the week about regular season points. You have to put away the mentality of last year, when this group here, this series actually had a playoff. Because, yeah, once you won, you were in, and you were kind of just waiting on the playoff to start. Those regular season points are huge. I don't care if you've won 1 race or 11 races, because remember, before they go to their playoff, the regular season points leader, just like in the Monster Energy Cup Series, gets 15 playoff points. That's like winning 3 races, 15 playoff points.
And when you consider how difficult it is for series regulars to win here because of the influence of the Cup guys, those regular season points are huge, because as Larry said, the guy that leads the regular season points, once we get to the regular season ender coming in September, we'll get those 15 playoff points, and that is a great way to put yourself in position to head to Homestead.
Jeb Burton looks like maybe making a little bit of a run to pit road, maybe, Larry?
Well, remember, he has not been in a race car in quite a while. He told us that. He said he couldn't even really figure out being a new car or how you even cranked it. So, yeah, he's going through a huge learning curve today.
Brandon Jones in the garage. P2, Jamie.
Having a great practice session. After that first session, though, he went over and talked to his teammate Austin Dillon. Got some pointers from Austin, and Austin said, I'm going to bet my brother Ty that Brandon will be better this practice by 1/10 or 2/10. So they have a little wager on it, and sure enough, the 33 having great practice, happy with the car overall as he sits in the top 3 right now.
Well, we talked about the fact that they spent some time outside the top 20 in that opening session. Larry mentioned the fact they were scuffing some tires, so those numbers were a little misleading. But by the end of that opening practice, they were solid inside the top 15, and here they are second behind Eric Jones with just over a half hour to go in final practice.
You know, one thing I do want to add to what I was talking about a while ago, Michael and I were just chatting about it. It's not just the regular season points leader before they go to the playoffs. The top 10 get points. It's just, it drops off from 15 for leading the points down to 9 for second.
But those 15 points for leading, a big, big deal. As you said, Larry, equates to winning 3 regular season races.
Carry those things right into the playoffs.
And all the way through the playoffs up until you get to the season finale at Homestead.
You keep them forever like luggage.
That's a good point.
Luggage or baggage?
36 minutes to go in final practice at Texas.
Car was Phoenix. Your teammate Kyle Larson won in your car just 2 weeks ago in California. When that happens, you feel a little bit more pressure when you get back behind the wheel?
Not necessarily, and I wouldn't say he won in my car. He won in the team's car. It's a group effort by everybody here at Ganassi, and you know, it was just really cool to see them pull through and get a win. The speed they've had on the 1.5 and 2 mile tracks has really been there. And now I get to have my shot at a 1.5 miles. I felt like we had good speed in our BBR Music Group. Chevy last practice came a long way. First time on a 1.5 miles in these cars with no downforce compared to the truck. So we're just learning a lot. New racetrack too. So a lot of things I got to pick up on. But I think we got some speed here. We were pretty tight that last time out on that run we did. I know we easily got a lot more speed in that thing. We just got to go out there and put that lap down.
Thanks, Tyler.
Adam? 7th quick in that opening session, Chris. He's 15th right now in final practice. And let's not forget, last time we came to Texas with the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Mike Shiplet on the pit box, Kyle Larson behind the wheel, 42 team, won here in November. Joey Logano's been pretty good in the 12 car.
Yeah.
One race shy of being undefeated when he drives that 12 machine.
Talked earlier about Daniel and his spin. He's picking up the pace, up in the top 10 now in that 18 car. Last time by, he ran a 29.31. That's pacing about 1/10 off of his fastest. So I think he's right. That's got a lot of long run speed in it, does Daniel in this Toyota.
You know, we talked about it at the top of the show as we're closing in on about the halfway point of this practice. We're definitely seeing some longer runs. We now have had 5 drivers run at least 15 consecutive laps, and that category is led by, we talked about him earlier, Cole Custer in that 00 car.
Yeah, he's got about 100th of a second is all, Larry, over Matt Tith on that average. So that's a couple of young guys that are getting it done here today. And does that really surprise you? You know, my brother likes to say sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And you know, that could be the case here. These young guys don't have any tendencies that they're hanging on to from the old surface. They're just adapting to these and to the conditions here today and getting it done.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of our rookies and our young drivers that's showing some speed here.
Look at Eric Jones, who has spent the majority of this practice P1, but he's second now. Brandon Jones has jumped in front of him, and the time for him, 28.63. We're inching down close to the 27s.
And that's faster than Kyle Busch ran here a year ago with a little bit more banking and a lot more downforce. So this is going to be fun.
I think the scoring monitor's broke. You know why?
No.
Because Bubba Wallace is not 6th. He's 14th, Jamie.
Isn't that ironic? I mean, he's finished 6th the last 4 straight, in his best finish here at Texas, 6th. So they're trying to make the car just a little bit better, trying to tighten him up. And just recently he said he's really neutral, and that's not good for the race. So Michael, as a driver, it seems like it's a good thing for practice. Why isn't it a good thing to be neutral in the race?
A lot of times traffic can affect your car pretty dramatically, Jamie. Especially we're talking about speeds of 195 to 200 miles an hour down the corner, and when you're running by yourself, that's pretty comfortable even with the less downforce. But when you get in traffic, the the air doesn't get on your car like you need it to, and if it's neutral, it'll have a tendency possibly to get loose. And when you're going down in the corners, the flatter turn 1 at 195 and it's loose, that's not a good thing.
There you see the box score. 33rd at Daytona, 6th, 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 and 6th at Atlanta, Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Auto Club Speedway a couple of weeks ago.
That's pretty amazing. That we know he's got a lot of speed in the car, and those 6 could be top 5s easily and possibly a win too, but just to wind up on that same number over and over, it's kind of crazy.
It's odd, but it has happened. Sam Ard won 4 straight races in 1983. Jack Ingram finished second 6 straight times in 93. Harvick was second in 4 consecutive races 12 years ago. And there you see Bubba Wallace with those 4 consecutive 6th-place finishes. And we joke a lot about the fact that he's finished 6th in 4 straight events. But I go back to Atlanta, where he nearly went a lap down. Las Vegas, where he was fighting flu-like symptoms. I mean, that kid has had a lot to overcome and has really shown his talent a lot here in 2017.
And you know what I like about what I'm hearing out of Bubba is his never die, never quit attitude. He's been very positive on the radio. If things aren't right, he tells his team exactly what the car is doing so they can go to work on it. He's been impressive, like you said, Adam, in 2017. And I think it's just a sign of maturity. Bubba's at the point in his career, he's like, I need to get to victory lane, and I'm going to give all I've got to have the best chance I can to get there.
Austin Dillon on track in 6th. This car is wrecked out of the last couple of races. Austin had the issues at Phoenix a couple of weeks ago at Auto Club Speedway. Paul Menard made his first start of the year, wrecked on the front straightaway. So they're trying to get back in the game after starting 2017 with 3 consecutive top 10s, and there you see it on the graph. Started so good at Daytona, but some hiccups recently.
He was 3rd fastest in the first session. He and his brother have been running about the same times all day long, and in this session they're 6th and 7th. So those cars are evenly matched, and the brothers are wheeling them.
What about that 2 car, Jamie?
Well, good thing for Austin. This is a great racetrack for him. He has started and finished in the top 10 all 9 starts. That's quite a feat. What he's saying, though, on the radio, he's pretty good. He needs a little bit more security through 1 and 2, a little bit more turn, and basically I'm asking for everything is what he told his crew chief. So he's having a little bit of fun with it, happy with what they have, but just looking for a little bit more speed.
And I'm thinking, Jamie, about the run they had at Martinsville last week on the Monster Energy Series side, where he finished in the top 5. I don't care what kind of car you're driving. When you finish in the top 5 at that level, it's got to breathe some confidence into you.
And that was after getting spun out about halfway through the race.
It was early there in our final stage. His teammate Brandon Jones on top of Texas. 25 minutes to go in final practice for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Texas Motor Speedway. It's Fast Friday on FS1, presented by K&N, and it continues to be the Joneses at the top. Eric Jones is second behind Brandon Jones, and the 33 is back on track.
It might not come into about 3rd, 4th lap right here, but we're going to commit to a good 15, 18 lap run right here. Come and evaluate, make some changes, and we'll do another 15, 18 lap run in today. All right, sounds good, guys.
That was crew chief Nick Harrison. It looks like to me that they did make that little practice qualifying run. He ran a little bit ago at a 28.63. And now Nick Harrison said, you know, we're going to put the air pressures down because we know how much they grow over the course of a long run. And you may not have the grip you're looking for until about 3rd, maybe 4th, even 5th lap.
Man, those things drive dramatically different when you let the air pressure out. You take a little bit of tape off the nose, let the air pressure out, and for a few laps at least, they're quite the handful. But that's the challenges that these teams are faced with, and they have to figure out how to address them, especially a young driver like Brandon Jones. He wants to make sure, Nick Harrison wants to make sure that he understands everything Brandon does that he'll be faced with when we go green flag racing tomorrow.
Larry, you crew chiefs are all about the trends of the race, but I'm thinking about 2 things that have to have all the crew chiefs a little bit spun out this weekend. 1, stage racing. We've never done it here at Texas Motor Speedway. Number 2, this reconfiguration of the track, and not knowing, is that going to produce green flag runs? Frequent cautions. How do you manage the day? What do you anticipate?
I anticipate cautions.
Michael and I are on the same page there, I think. Yeah, I just think when you come to a place that stepping too far outside of the one groove, the bottom groove, until we get some rubber down, And like Michael pointed out, what's going to happen? They're going to have to run side by side going off into turn 1 after a restart.
Probably my favorite story of this session, though, Adam, is the 15-lap averages. Matt Tift is second fastest. Rookie Cole Custer is first. And guess who's third? Harvick.
And he's won here 5 times.
And he's spotting these two rookies 0.2 of a second. I mean, that's an amazing gap for that long of a run. Those kids are getting it done.
And sometimes when you look at numbers, you say, well, what about this? There is no fraud in those numbers. That is legit when you're running 15 laps.
The only thing that I see with this 19 car is he just is creeping up higher and higher next to the groove, or the top side of the groove. And you can see there the two, Austin Dillon side by side with Joey Gase there. Tyler Reddick, that's just where they get really nervous. They don't know what to expect when they hit that high line.
2.5 hours of practice for the Monster Energy Series cars. 90 minutes followed by this hour for Xfinity teams. Couple of hour sessions here tomorrow for the Monster Energy Series cars. How much rubber do you think this track is going to take before we go green? And how much will that groove start to widen out a little bit?
That's probably the bigger question. It's taken rubber great. I mean, we documented in the 2.5 hours of cup practice we had earlier, there was over 1,300 laps total that was run. It's taking rubber. The question, can we start widening that groove out? Will the 2 cup practices we have in the morning before the Xfinity Series race do it? I don't know.
Because of all the lime they put in this track when they resurfaced it, it's got a gray tint. And because of that, you can really see the line that these cars are taking. It's distinct with all that rubber that's going in the racetrack. There, you can look at it. You can just see where it's blacking out from all the rubber, where these guys are running a car and a quarter, car and a half, maybe, when you look at the width of that groove.
Well, we saw how much Austin Dillon was off the pace when he had to go around the slower cars. So there's definitely not much traction up that high, or at least these guys aren't ready to go up there and tiptoe unless they're tiptoe through it. Look at this, Larry McReynolds. You talked about how narrow the line is. That's not great drawing, but you can see right there, that's basically all the groove that there is as they enter turn 1. So you go in there side by side, and remember, I know I said this a couple times earlier, nearly 200 miles an hour. You got to make a decision in a hurry if you think you can get through there side by side or not.
And that's a big thing that has changed entering turn 1. We were talking about this during cup practice with widening the racetrack out from 60 to 80 feet, taking 4 degrees of banking. They're not staying out against the wall. And we see cars here touch the wall on the exit of the front straightaway as they go to transition to 1. They're almost a full groove off the wall entering 1.
And where I do see the groove widening out is on the exit of the turns. They're able to seemingly run a half a groove higher on exit. So
the big headline coming to the weekend was the repave and reconfiguration down in turns 1 and 2. Little trivia for you guys. How many tons of asphalt? 1.5 mile track, 60 to 80 feet wide, depending on where you are. What do you guys think? How many tons of asphalt in this repave?
I wouldn't even know what to even get.
Well, guesses are free. It costs you nothing.
I'm going to guess 20,000.
20,000?
Tons.
You went over. It's 19,982.
You know, I've been kind of,
I thought that was a darn good guess.
Going down this road for a while. The question is, why did they repave? You know, Eddie Goss has confirmed what I've been saying for several months. It's not that they were just chomping at the bit to repave this place. It's an expensive process.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money.
But the wake-up call for Texas Motor Speedway and our sport, when we were here in November, it rained for 30 minutes. And this racetrack, the surface had essentially been here since '97, was like a sponge. And it took over 5 hours to dry this racetrack. And that's with all the technology that we have, with the Air Titan 2 and with all the jet dryers. Our sport is beyond that. Quite honestly, quite frankly, it's why I'm very disappointed that our drivers talked Ed Clark and Marcus Smith out of repaving Atlanta. If it doesn't rain, we're good. If it rains, that's when you have the issues.
IndyCar had major problems here last summer as well, and you saw the graphic. What really changed the game with this place, not the repaving, but the reconfiguration in turns 1 and 2. Turns 3 and 4, still 24 degrees of banking, really didn't change much there. But in turns 1 and 2, as you saw on the graphic, they went from 60 to 80 feet wide, went from 24 to 20 degrees of banking. That's what will give teams headaches as they try to get adjusted to this new layout.
Jeb Burton in the 24 car here. He's completing his 19th lap. He ran a 30 flat the last time by. His fastest lap was 10 laps ago. So they're gaining on it. That was his fastest lap there, 29.71. So good job by the team, getting better and better. And you talk about the group. Look how much wider the groove is off the corner than it is entering the corner. They're able to spread it out there, and I think that makes sense. When you're going down in the corner, you're pretty sensitive about making sure you stay on those tracks. When your car maybe gets a little bit tight in the center, or you get a little bit loose and you chase it up, you can run the car off the turn and widen that groove out. I think that's why you see a difference there, and that's why I'm optimistic that this track will take a lot of rubber, and they will be able to move around pretty early in the event because of what I'm seeing off turn 2.
This group here on the left, they're in struggle town. I mean, I look at Brendan Gaughan in this 62 car. They've only run 13 laps, which that to me is a telltale sign they are chasing this race car. He's sitting 27th right now, and we only have about 15 minutes left in this practice session.
Beep, beep, beep. They're on the struggle bus, aren't they?
They are.
And here's the frustration.
So trying to do the way you were asking, Shane, to do it my way, I'm just freaked. It builds. It's still worse 7/16 through 9/16, but it builds to it, so it's not great in, but it builds as it goes in. And then doing the other way, I was loose right off the bat on the way in and chased it the whole way.
Evidently, it's not staying consistent all the way through the corner.
And they're making a major change there. That looks like a spring that's going to come out of the left rear.
Here's what's interesting. When you look at the other 4 cars from Richard Childress Racing, they're all inside the top 12. Daniel Hemrick is 12. We talked about Brandon Jones, who's leading practice. You got Austin and Ty Dillon up there in the top 10. And you know, we talk about struggles. Junior Motorsports has not been where you would want them to be, but William Byron continues to work at it. Now the 9 car up inside the top 10 in that 10th position.
Yeah, let's welcome him to the top 10 for the first time all day. So good progress by the youngster out of Charlotte.
By far and away their best car when you look at timing and scoring. With 13 minutes to go, if you don't like your car now, you may really struggle into tomorrow's race, because there's not many out. Motor coach right now watching final practice, making some notes. 11 minutes to go.
He needs to make a note on Spencer Gallagher. This team's had a good day today. Spencer's had some speed.
They had a good weekend last weekend, GMS.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Got the big win.
Yeah, you said Spencer's 6th right now, doing a nice job.
I love GMS. I love the trucks they bring to the truck races. I love Spencer's exuberance and attitude toward getting to drive a car. That's what it's all about. Show people how much you appreciate what you get to do, and he does that on a regular basis.
Yeah, his best finish so far this year was back at Phoenix, where he finished 18th.
See where he is in the rookie standings. Really good rookie class. Byron leads the way, Hemrick behind him, Gallagher down there in the 5th position when you look at the contenders for Rookie of the Year in 2017.
And those numbers can start to change. I think it's after we get through the first 16 races, because they start pulling out your worst finish as you go beyond 16 races. And then the biggest thing that really makes a difference, a top 10 finish, you get bonus points.
Don't see Tyler Reddick there. And Tyler running a part-time schedule, sharing the 42 car with Kyle Larson. But as he starts to accumulate starts, those points will go up, and he'll be a player as well. And as you said, you start throwing out the worst finishes, and he might find himself very much a part of that game as we wrap up 2017.
Ryan Reed was strong in the earlier practice. He's down in the 16th position in this session. Tyler Reddick that you mentioned, he's just ahead of Reed in 15th.
Interesting top 5 here with 9 minutes to go in final practice. Brandon Jones, Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney in the 22, Kevin Harvick in the 41, and Joey Logano going to be one of the pre-race favorites, I would guess. 5th right now, Jamie.
Definitely. It's hard to believe he hasn't raced here in Xfinity since 2014, and he's having fun driving over here. He always likes to be in the car, but they definitely are making some gains on it. Crew Chief Brian Wilson just gave me a thumbs up and said they're definitely going in the right direction. They just put some tires on that have just a couple laps on there, so going to make a long run here and see if they're in the ballpark and ready to go for tomorrow. Chris?
And Jamie, I think just about every weekend we've talked about the 22 car, the sister car to that 12 car there, not finding its way back to victory lane. It's been over a year now. The last time it was in victory lane was right here in Texas back in 2015. So Ryan Blaney going to try and be the guy that pops that bubble this weekend. And overall, pretty happy with that race car. Third quick on the board. He's got some good, consistent long runs going. If anything, he said the front of the car just a little bit too tight. But every time he says we're making changes, he said don't let anything affect the back end of the car. The back end of the car feels great. We just need to make the front of the car a little bit more positive.
A while since this team's been to victory lane. Chris said it, November 2015. It's been a while for Ryan Blaney. September of 2015 is the last time he was a winner. Happened at Kentucky Speedway.
And he's only been in this 22 car once this year, but what a run he had. Remember back at Phoenix, they missed qualifying because of inspection and came back to finish second after starting at the rear of the field.
Well, this car's been second the last 2 races, right? Because Joey Logano, who had a host of issues at California a couple of weeks ago, was able to finish in the runner-up position to Kyle Larson.
But yeah, Adam, that number is 40 races that Chris referenced about the last time they went to victory lane.
6 runner-up finishes by 3 different drivers in that span of time.
I believe you and I fell face first in the stat book.
I think we did. Time to put a bow on final practice for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Texas Motor Speedway. Brandon Jones shows the way. He's been up there for a while, back in race trim now. After making that mock qualifying run, Eric Jones behind him. Cole Custer maybe making a mock run, jump to 3rd.
There's just some great stories in this practice session. There you see Darrell Wallace Jr. back in the 11th position. William Byron, who's been fast all year, the highest running junior motorsports car. You see our point leader, Elliott Sadler, back in 21st position. So a lot of folks struggling for speed here on this reconfigured, repaved racetrack.
Let's go back to mile-and-a-half race number 2. Last one at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. There was one junior motorsports car that really found it there, Justin Allgaier. The others had a bit of a struggle. And you kind of inverted that a little bit. It was Elliott Sadler that was really good at Atlanta, and the others weren't quite where they needed to be. I'm just curious if they're not kind of one in and the others out here at Texas.
And that's when the meetings are really important, huh, Larry? You go in there with your notebook wide open and say, this is what I got, this worked, this didn't. How are we going to adjust our cars accordingly? I like what I'm seeing here. Guys running bumper to bumper, understanding what the aero is doing here at this racetrack. You can see really tight together. Like Brandon Jones slipped up a little bit off turn 4 a lap ago, and now he's going around Todd Dillon. So this is just a good way. I think they might be even doing that on purpose, just feeling out what their cars have in some traffic. I like that.
Brandon wanted to know, what's it feel like when I'm behind someone, and he gets by. Ty lets him go by so Ty can feel a little bit. I like it.
And Adam, it did appear that Cole Custer in that 00 car, you mentioned that he's 3rd. That was a 1-lap mock qualifying run.
William Byron was up in the top 10, 12th now, Chris.
Yeah, gaining a couple spots there. And I've been trying to listen to the junior motorsports teams and see what's going on with their cars, but most of them are pretty quiet on the radios while they're on the racetrack, getting down to the garage, getting into that garage area and switching over to their digital channels, so we can't hear them. But last run, William Byron ran. He did say he feels like they're making progress with the car. He said the first half of this practice, the front end of that car just way too numb and the front tires chattering around the racetrack. And he said, we've gotten rid of most of the chatter, so the car is better, but boy, just not a lot of speed out of those junior motorsports cars.
I got to tell you, Chris, as a racer, you know, a tire chatter is the worst thing ever. There's no way you feel like you can change your driving line to take care of that. If you're a little tight, a little loose, you move around. But when you turn the wheels and the tires just feel like they're skipping across the road, you've got to come to the pits and say, you got to figure this out.
Tough for you to drive, tough for me to fix.
I'll say this, though, for all those guys at Junior Motorsports, there have been times this year when they didn't light the world on fire in practice. Come race day, they find a way to get in the game and manufacture a good finish. We've seen it out of Elliott Sadler on days where they've had to work harder than others. Certainly seen it out of William Byron and this guy, Justin Allgaier, our Phoenix winner.
But we spoke about him earlier. To know they started the season with 2 30th place finishes, talking about Justin Allgaier. They've come back with the win, 3 top 10s, and they have moved to 3rd in points.
Look who's leading the way in practice now. Bubba Wallace late run.
What a great run. I'm sure a qualifying pass there for the 6th car, but Bubba 28.61.
And that knocks Cole Custer down to 4th. He ran a 28.79, Jamie.
Well, he was good on the long run there with 15 laps, plus You got what it takes for the pole perhaps tomorrow, Cole?
We'll see. I think I could have gone a little bit more out of it on our mock run right there, but we have a really fast automation Ford Mustang, so I'm really excited. Probably the best car we've had this year, and we've really liked this new surface. Our guys came really prepared and brought me a great car, and just can't thank them enough. And I think we're gonna have a strong run. We have a really good long run speed, and I think we have pretty good short run speed too. So we'll see what we can do.
Crashed out of the last 2 races. Good to see the rookie driver with crew chief Jeff Mendering having success here at Texas. P4 right now, best when you look at 15 lap average, second on the 10 lap average to his point. We're good on the short run, good on the long run, could have something for him here tomorrow.
Eric Jones, he and Brandon Jones, they're up there second and third, and they've also run the most laps of any driver in this practice at 47 laps.
Talking about a good weekend at Auto Club Speedway. Daniel Hemrick qualified up front, ran well, never seen that place before, and he performed. I expect good things out of this 21 bunch tomorrow.
That was after a penalty. He came back, finished 11th. So that's going to do it for final practice in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We'll take a break. When we return on FS1, it's Monster Energy Series qualifying. We'll see you for Xfinity qualifying tomorrow, 10:30 Eastern, here on FS1.